But that's the countdown to the shutdown.
That's right. What is it? What, a couple days here?
2 days and 8 hours.
So, Mr. Dubinsky, do you know who said the following? We had thousands of members across the country who returned holiday presents because they needed cash, missed a mortgage payment, took out a short-term loan, and ran up their credit card debt because they had no paycheck for the month.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
State your point. And stop the clock for Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that.
All government employees are going to get paid at the end of this month, and also the Democrat Party forced shutdowns on the American economy, hurting businesses, forcing people to lose their jobs, kids behind in school.
It's okay.
That's not a point of order.
You know what? That's going to be not true on October.
Hold on, Chair. Recognizes
Can't
Mr.
allow
Lee.
people to be misleading the American people. We all know. I was here in 2019 when the shutdown was there for 35 days. Because you know what? You do know who said this?
I lost track of this.
I know. Doreen Greenwald. She's a member of the National Treasury Employees Union. She said 150,000 workers in 35 agencies. She said this is the irresponsible 2018-19 Republican shutdown from the previous administration. Do you know she also went on to say, because this is important, this is what this committee should be used for. She went on to say they stood in line at food banks, pulled their children from child care, were unable to put gas in their cars and beg creditors for grace. This is not how the United States of America should treat its own employees. That is verbatim from a federal employee that did not get paid in last shutdown. So let's not lie to the American people. Right now, the Department of Agriculture will be forced to stop processing housing loans, which provided over 675 million people and 3,431 families in rural North Carolina. That's all going to stop. The Department of Ag would be forced to stop processing a loan in Wisconsin, about $181 million loans that are impacting rural Wisconsin. Small Business Administration, y'all, would stop processing small business loans, halting over $284 million in funding small businesses in Alabama. That's just one state. The federal government shutdown has real consequences. I would like to submit, Mr. Chair, to the record, FEMA funding would be impacted if the government shuts down. This is in regards to the impact in Florida specifically if the government shuts down, and the impact on the many, many humanitarian aid that has to go to many homeowners that were impacted.
Without objection to order.
In my district, 56,000. Do you know what that is? That's a number of children that will lose their child care spot, the spot to receive child care. State, countrywide, is 3.5 million children impacted. This is how many children, again, our caucus, again, Republicans are literally just putting aside and saying, no, we're going to do this instead. We're going to go and bring the campaigning, the ugliest toxicity that our families don't need right now into this chamber instead of doing what we need to do, which is making sure we have a functional government that provides for our families. When it comes to dysfunction, to all our witnesses here, you're now part of it. You came to this committee. They're overachievers when it comes to dysfunction. Why stop at destroying child care across our country? They're devastating public health, education, social safety nets in our country. And Ms. O'Connor, you are part of it now because you came here.
Chair,
Don't say that.
ladies, time's expired. Chair now recognizes Mr. Burchett from Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. President Biden has sent over $110 billion of taxpayers' hard-earned money to Ukraine and wants to send even more. Yet his son failed to pay any taxes on the millions of dollars he received from Ukrainian companies. Many folks in East Tennessee can't afford to buy even their dadgum groceries, let alone a home or an automobile. But these decent people and Americans all over the country still pay their taxes. The fact is, if your last name is Biden, you don't have to play by the same rules. Who's going to write the check for the money Hunter Biden didn't pay now that it's too late to bring charges to these taxpayers? Who's paying taxes on the $250,000 that China sent to President Biden's Delaware address? I'll tell you who. It's the hardworking Americans that got to get up every morning that don't come into work at 10 o'clock and take 2 hours for lunch and then walk out of here in their Brooks Brothers suit with their jacket thrown over their dadgum shoulder claiming that they worked hard because they know they didn't work hard. The people back home are working hard and they're paying their dadgum taxes. Yet The Biden family doesn't have to. This past July, 2 high-level IRS agents, Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler, testified before our committee. They painted a very disturbing picture, worse than one of Hunter Biden's paintings, by the way, of misconduct and obstruction within the Department of Justice criminal investigation of Hunter Biden and the Biden family business dealings. They testified that Hunter Biden should have been charged with a tax felony, not a misdemeanor. Hunter was saved by Merrick Garland's decision to change the department's long-standing policy to charge the most serious offense that can be proven. This paved the path for Hunter Biden to attempt to plead guilty for 2 tax-related misdemeanors rather than any of the 6 felonies recommended by the department's tax division. I've literally seen people in Tennessee be charged with more for traffic violations. Moreover, Mr. Garland's decision does not align with Chapter 10 of the Criminal Tax Manual, which prohibits prosecutors from allowing a defendant to plead to a misdemeanor when elements